Hey, how you doing? Hope you all are doing great. As you've seen in the thumbnail, in this video, we're going to see what if Naruto got into harem with Zelda. This is part 8, and before getting into video, I request you to check the author of this fanfic and show some love and support. Name of the story is The Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess Tremor 230 style by Tremor 230. Do check it. All details and description. And if you want next part of this series, please leave a like, share, and consider subscribe. Let's get into the video. Also check out Patreon for uncensored spicy content. Link in description. Dear Naruto, I know I have not been there when you needed me. I was not there when you were a recently orphaned baby, and I was not there later when you had took your first steps in the academy. And more recently, I wasn't there by your side when you stood alone facing the fears of the whole elemental nations you yourself had done everything in your power to save and protect. But I still want to ask you to hear me out this one last time. Then if you'll so wish, I will stop writing and never again bother you. I have to make a confession. My dear sensei, and your own Gigi, Hiruzen, had always warned me that grief and sorrow were a human worst enemy, and I am forced to admit those two feelings were the greatest reason behind my staying away from you, and even missing sensei's funeral. Even now, today, the pain of losing my beloved brother Nawaki and my lover Dan sting just as hard as it did the very same day I have lost both. And I am disgusted to admit that my fear of losing you two to the whole coma plan had clouded my judgment, believing I had every right to decide for you, just like when we were still facing Akatsuki. The coma had been the one and only plan the others had come up with, and it had been a really difficult battle for me and Gaara to suggest the banishment. Even if I have no shame to admit, we would have more gladly fought them for real and use our own techniques and fists to make them understand you were not going anywhere. But as you can imagine, as I know Sensei told you once, for all its supposed powers, the position of a Kage has even less freedom of a prisoner in the TNI department. We cannot step out of line. We have the weight of the whole village, its every inhabitant, and the surrounding area weighting us down. The fact that even after that revelation you still wanted to become Hokage, I have to admit, filled me with pride. Once I finally came to know you for real, though, at the beginning I simply laughed at your foolishness, as you can easily confirm. Naruto, I don't know if you are still reading this, but if you do not come back. Yes, I am asking you to remain in Hyrule. Not because I want your banishment to be complete, but because if the life of a Kage is one of chains, the one of the last Jinchuriki will be even worse. Even now, except me, Gaara, and Princess Koyuki, everybody else is plotting for when you will be back. If before now you had only the Akatsuki to worry about, now the whole shinobi world wants a piece of you. They all remember how terrible Madara and Obito's power had been when they were in the control of the Ten Tails. And now they already are drooling at the idea of having you plus that power at their disposal. Thirst of power runs deep in humans. Naruto, just because you do not feel it, it doesn't mean the others won't give in to it. They want you, each one of them. Even here in Konoha, the ones that were not in your small circle of friends are wondering just what will mean for us to have you back. Most fear wars and attacks from new power-hungry fools. Other instead, as Abiki and Anko confirmed, started wondering if your return will mean us trying to stretch our limbs for a little bit more territory to call our own. I had to annex Tizuna's village to Konoha after the 5th visit of people that were poking around just in case you passed by there. By now you and Team 7 exploits with Gato are a well-known story. And Tizuna himself pleaded me for help. To ease your worry, it took I just 2 visits to make sure nobody else will ever go there to make trouble. Yes, I fixed his leg as you asked me before this whole mess started, and I think he is taking his gratitude a little bit too personal as he had beat up those spies to smithereens. All the while he should have been doing simple rehabilitation exercises only. Sad face, but I then made sure he wouldn't do other unnecessary idiocies until fully healed. I bet that by now you already have lots of new friends there. As even if you always denied it, that gift you have must be a bloodline limit. And no matter how many times you deny it, we others are not fooled, so please at least admit it that it's your special power. Even Sasuke wholeheartedly admits it is a frightening power that won. Sasuke and Sakura are mostly okay, and even if they would not waste time hunting you down and drag you back like you did with Sasuke, they recognize that even now you would not like how things are evolving here. Even your forgiveness has limits, and we all do not want those fools to test your patience. Please let them write. Only them. Only the 2 of them. Nobody else will know. I promise, and I beg you to trust me even just on this. With me, Shizun, and your old friends, are running diversions, spreading false trails, and as much misinformation we can to cover your staying in Hyrule. Even Kakashi and the other Jounin sensei are kept in the dark, even if Kakashi seems eager to shoulder the full blame of your banishment, no matter the fact that he had nothing to do with this. Naruto, I am asking you to be happy there in Hyrule. Jiraiya is on your traces, and I hope you have not crossed paths yet. I am hoping your infernal luck will strike true and give this letter of mine time to find you before he does. Do not let him see this message if, and when you meet, he seemed to be adamant in bringing you back even against your will. And I don't want this. I want you happy no matter where you are, so please, as always, do your damn best and find happiness in there. And maybe one day I will be able to share a bond of family with you like we never managed to share before. With my greatest affection, Tsunade Senju, your godmother, if you still want me to be. P.S. Shizen sends you all her love, but if you have read her letter, you will already know this. A tense silence filled the pub as Jiraiya finished reading aloud Tsunade's letter. Well, honey, it seems like it was not as bad as it had shaped out to be, Telma tried saying with a gentle smile. It didn't sound like she was trying to entice or even force you back. She actually warned you about Jiraiya here and the risks of returning home. Midna added as she griped the blonde shoulder she was sitting on in hope of giving him comfort. Is that true? Naruto finally asked. Partner, she was right in telling you about the possibility of several people planning on using you. Through the ages, entire empires fell to the thirst of power of men and women blinded by their greed. It doesn't mean everybody will look at you like you were something to exploit, but it is also true that there will be some wishing to use your abilities for their own agendas. Link the Golden Wolf answered sighing. You don't have to look too far away either. Zant and his master did all this to Hyrule because they wanted power and to rule over everything. People like them exist. Ilya added as she sat next to Naruto and holding his hands in hers. The fact they still believe I am hunting you down might play at our advantage. It will make my retirement even less expected, thus stopping them from trying to stop me. And also, those brats of your friends are helping covering your coming here. It means it will take a real mean streak of bad luck for somebody to find where we are. Jiraiya said, sighing, secretly elated that Tsunade was seemingly coming around once finally taking her head out of her ass. Gaara's letter is pretty much the same. He wishes me luck and asks for forgiveness about him betraying me. He even asked if he, and only him, would be able to come for a short visit. Naruto answered with a small smile. I hope not. Hyrule can't become a retirement home for badass ninjas. You people risk making us others look bad. Ruzzle answered in fake horror, finally making the blonde chuckle a little. The small, short, and suffused sound seemed to act like a spell in itself, as the air in the room turned clearly less tense, as more and more resistance members chuckled along with the blonde shinobi. You still have friends, and clearly the lot of them wish your happiness, even if it means you will never be able to go back. Ajitha, sitting at Naruto's other side, said happily as few of her luminescent bugs flew out of her dress to circle the young man's head to attract his attention. Okay. I'll stop moping around. I get it. Naruto answered in defeat as he could tell the bugs buzzing had turned happier in tone. So you were staying in Hyrule? Midna asked hopeful. I will never leave this place. I am sorry. He answered smirking. Good choice. Telma answered laughing. You got the best girls and alcohol? I am staying all right. Naruto added laughing himself, making the girls with him preen in pride. About the girls, I have to say that yes, you are right. Jiraiya added while blowing a kiss to Telma, making her wink at him in answer. I like this place. We may have struck the jackpot coming here. After all, Utsukushi admitted, sighing happily at feeling her beloved blonde recover a big deal of his normal sunny disposition. All those feelings of dread were driving her mad at her powerlessness about fixing them. I was talking with Ruzzle before you arrived, honey, and we may have a favor to ask you. The barwoman said with an innocent smile that had the small group of heroes gulp. Here we go. Midna muttered, grimacing. Can it wait tomorrow morning, Telmaheim? Jiraiya asked pleadingly. Just let us rest a little, Miss Telma, please. Link added. Oh, fine. She answered, huffing and pouting. What was it about, by the way? Naruto asked, curious. Well, if you're up in the air about where to go next, maybe you ought to go with Ruzzle. We plan to go to the southern wood to check out the lay of the land. There should be a sacred grove in there. I want to see if we can find it. Ruzzle confirmed, nodding. To the others' surprised, Jiraiya, Naruto, Midna, and Link's head snapped upward to look at the sky with narrowed eyes. Up in heaven, little more subtle still? Din asked with a sheepish smile, just a tiny bit more. Faror answered, covering her blushing by clearing her throat. Back on Earth. Okay. Naruto said as the group returned to look at Ruzzle. Done glaring at the ceiling? The man asked amused, not at the ceiling, but at three certain goddesses I'm starting to think are poking their nose a bit too much into this mess. Utsukushi answered, making Jiraiya chuckle, as he could still hear her thanks to Midna. You coming, Oku? The toad sage asked to the sleeping bird thing dozing off inside his coat. ZZZ. K. ZZ. So, tomorrow we will go together, okay? As the group moved to split up either to sleep or go through night missions, Ashe neared Naruto with a pleased expression that caused Midna, Utsukushi, and Ilya to subtly growl. Jiraiya instead was finding the whole thing very amusing, just like Link next to him. Naruto? Ashe asked. Oh? I was told by the Zora that the beast of Snow Peak hasn't appeared in their domain since its last visit. In the end, the troubles in Hyrule and the events on Snow Peak were beyond even my imagination. She admitted, looking relieved. Nope. The blonde answered, chuckling, making her look at him in confusion. What? It was all because he needed some reek fish to make a soup to heal his wife. She was sick and needed some healthy food to recover. He explained, amused. That's it? Ashe asked, surprised. Yup. I even have some with me. Want to try? Even cold, it's still pretty good. Naruto answered, unsealing a small bottle and presenting it to the girl. I may have took a sip already, though. Sorry, it's the last bottle I have. He then added with a sheepish smile. It's okay. I am a warrior. I was once forced to eat raw meat to survive, so I am not that picky. She answered with a small smile as she took the bottle to give it a whiff. Smells good, she said, impressed. Where the fuck is she drinking from? The girls around Naruto mentally bellowed as only they noticed Ashe, making sure she could match the faint markings of his lips on the bottle with her own. Oh, indirect kiss, nice move. Jiraiya muttered while Naruto, God bless his still there innocence on certain matters, completely missed the thing. The girls, though, seemed ready to kill her. Link commented back. It was very good, thank you. Ashe commented as she gave him back the bottle. You have some, he muttered, pointing at his nose. Better? She asked once, sultrily licked her nose clean. Better, the blonde said, chuckling, amused. Let's go rest, Naruto. You need it. You are working so hard to save Hyrule, contrary to somebody else. Ilya growled, pulling him away by his arm towards the hidden rooms underground. I'll be watching you, Midna hissed with narrowed eyes before joining the others downstairs. Oh, I missed some good love comedy-esque development, Jiraiya said, chuckling before the surprisingly strong grip of Ashe on his arm stopped him. You know Naruto very well, right? Ashe asked with narrowed eyes. I am his godfather, even if only now I am acting like one, yes. He answered, unsure. I see. She muttered, nodding. Strategy meeting? Link offered. You joining? She asked. The bloodline of the heroes must continue. And I'm a bit nosy deep down. The wolf answered, smirking. Good. Follow me, the girl said, guiding both spy master and hero shade outside. Grandma? Ajitha, looking pretty red on her face in rage, muttered, making Ma the Toad elder jump out of the room's shadows to reach her. So Jiraiya boy is helping the enemy? I didn't see it coming, the small toad said from her place on the girl's shoulder. What should we do? The bug princess asked, whining. Busy. The dragonfly is right. This calls for countermeasures, Ma answered with crossed arms. Okay, Grandma, Ajitha answered in newfound determination as she too hurried outside. T.H. Matters of heart are my specialty, not theirs. My little pupil Ilya will win. True love always triumphs. Telma answered, smirking smugly as she returned to clean her counter while thinking about some love strategies herself to help Ilya. Oh dear, this is some fine pickle our friend is finding himself in, Shad muttered while adjusting his glasses. A pickle? With those four growling at each other? More like a damn big fucking mess. Another member of the resistance answered, laughing uproariously. Well, yes. Didn't I say the same thing? The studious man asked, confused. Shad. That man answered, shaking his head in defeat. The next day, North Farron Woods. In a flash of black particles, Naruto, Jiraiya, Midna, Link and Ruzzle appeared in a small clearing near the entrance to the northernmost area of Faron Woods. I came to love this way of travel. Naruto, once turned from fox to human, admitted with a groan of pleasure as he cracked his back. That's because I make all the lifting. T. Midna answered amused as she sat back on his shoulder. Sorry to put this burden on you, Midna-chan. He answered sheepishly. Have no fear. You'll pay me back all at once as soon as we have dealt with Zant and his master. Midna answered smirking. Bitch, fox whore, girls. Naruto said exasperated. What about our passengers? You okay down there? The Twily Imp girl asked, turning around to address the others. Boyawerg, Boyawart. A trio of agony-filled puking sounds came in answer as the three had dived for the bushes as soon as they arrived. Oh God, it's even worse than the first time, Jiraiya said with shaken voice as he, Link, and Ruzzle finally recovered control over themselves. Pansies. Utsukushi answered disdainfully. You'll have the right to judge when you two will feel like your organs are trying to rush out of your mouth all at once. Miss Utsukushi. Link answered, shaking his head to further recover. Is it always like this? Ruzzle asked, worried. Since this is the second time this happens, yes. I fear this will be the norm. Jiraiya answered in dread. Then I prefer walking. Me too. If you gentlemen have quite done, we have a sacred grove to visit. Midna said, waving their whining away as the shinobi she was riding walked forward. Are you sure the sacred grove is this way? Ruzzle asked as the group slowly walked through the woods, faintly illuminated by the harsh morning light thanks to the thick cover of the leaves cutting off most of the light. We have been there once already to retrieve the Master Sword in Faichan. I still remember the path. Naruto answered, smiling as he pointed at the sword hanging from his back. Fee? Ruzzle asked, confused. That would be me. The sword spirit answered, popping out to stand in front of him. What in the name of the goddesses is that? Ruzzle yelled as he jumped back. I get my appearances surprise you? The spirit asked, reclining her head to the side. A bit. The swordsman answered faintly before looking at Naruto. Yes? He asked. Is anything ever normal with you? The man asked with wide eyes. No. Jiraiya, Naruto, and Utsukushi answered immediately and with a wide smile. Midna instead simply sighed and shrugged helpless. Master is a chosen hero. His path will be through adversities no other can face. Only he can. Fi answered with her usual monotone, even if a faint trace of annoyance still seeped through before she hastily returned inside the Master Sword. So she basically told me to go fuck myself? Ruzzle asked, confused. It may be a way to translate it, yes. Link answered. Well, small talks aside, here we are. Naruto said, opening his arms wide to present the giant tree standing in front of them to the group. It has been a while since we took a walk in the forest, Ruzzle asked with a small smile as they watched the small hidden path through a deep gorge passing close to the tree's roots. Seems like it was yesterday. Life was easier, that's for sure. The blonde answered, sighing. I came here in Media's residential, so I cannot vouch for that, but I'll trust you on this. Jiraiya added. It used to be so peaceful. Oh, how our world has changed. So looking at this gorge, can it really be that an ancient temple deep in the woods is hidden in there like people say? They say that there is hidden a secret power in there. Ruzzle asked, unsure. Is there? We found the Master Sword in that place, Naruto answered. The sword was not the only thing sealed there, Master. Now that you have proved your worth, the path to the temple will be open for you, with my help. Fi answered with only her voice echoing out of the sword. Why I am surprised with how much magic defenses they like to use. Hiding a whole temple was simple in comparison. Utsukushi muttered, annoyed. So there are not only ruins in there? Naruto asked. No, Master. The legends are true then. The ancestors of the Hylians created the temple. Signs of their civilization, ancient but very sophisticated, are everywhere. If someone could obtain the power of those ancient people, well, I'm sure it would go a long way towards saving Hyrule. Ruzzle muttered in wonder. Or further endanger it if the wrong people get their hands on that treasure. Jiraiya said with narrowed eyes. That is why we have to be the ones finding that power before the forces of evil beat us to it. Naruto? Yes? Would you guys take on this task? Would you cross the gorge and find the ancient power sleeping in the temple? He asked. What about you? You are not joining? The blonde asked back, curious. Huh? I would never be able, Naruto. Listening to your tales about Snow Peak, the various temples you visited, and the fights against hordes of monsters to help the Zora and the Gorin that Ilya and the others were more than happy to confirm. I understood that this particular task is out of my reach. You instead, and in smaller part Mr. Jiraiya, have faced greater horrors than what I can even imagine even before coming to Hyrule. And maybe that is why the goddesses brought you two to us. We needed two extraordinary men to help us in these dark days. Ruzzle answered, making the two shinobi grow sheepish. So, I ask again, will you two do this? He asked. Of course we will. Naruto answered excited, while Jiraiya simply nodded. Wonderful. I knew you two would. The swordsman said, elated. A thing though, had we not been here, how would have you passed that gorge? Link asked, curious. Oh, simple. I would have used my partner. Ruzzle answered. Partner? Midna asked, confused. KW. At that, a golden. It was actually shining like pure gold. Chicken rushed to Ruzzle's side to stand proudly next to him. Nice, isn't it? Ruzzle said proudly. That's a chicken. Midna said, yes, a golden chicken. Naruto added. Precisely. You know what? I don't want to know. Jiraiya answered, raising his hands to walk on the walls of the gorge and reach the opening he saw hidden in a small alcove on the outer side. My partner flies like a dream. Believe me. Ruzzle tried insisting. I bet he can. Sir Ruzzle, they glide, if you want to call it like that, but flying? No, that is the wrong animal. Link said as he wall jumped by himself to reach the hidden tunnel. He would have brought me across the gorge. He tried saying as he watched Naruto and Midna too leave to join the others. You disbelieving heathens. Ruzzle bellowed with an offended scream. Phoenix, do it your way. Just restore the peace. Reclaim the power of this ancient civilization that has slept in the temple for ages beyond count. He then screamed, they went too far to hear me. Maybe I should learn to make my goodbyes shorter. He muttered unsure as he got no answer. Meanwhile, with Naruto and the others, while there are logs swinging back and forth as if to act as obstacles. And who's pushing those? There's not enough wind for it. Jiraiya asked, confused. Just drop it, Arrow Sennin. Even I admitted defeat and accepted the strange things that happen here every time I get into a dungeon. Naruto answered, sighing as a swing of Gale Boomerang turned the moving bridge in front of them to the right angle so that they could cross. Still, I would prefer things making a tiny bit more sense. The Toad Sage said, shrugging as they sidestepped the logs to enter the woods ahead. Just a little, not much. He added at seeing the blond young man and the others look at him with a raised eyebrow. Whatever. Midna huffed, annoyed. Is it night already? The former spy master asked, curious. No. It's just that the forest here is so thick that light doesn't pass through. Utsukushi answered. Oh, actually, something else is casting the illusion of darkness upon us. Phi's disembodied voice corrected her as a well-known kid dressed in leaves and sporting an ever-present abnormally large smile jumped down a near tree to stop the group. Hi, the kid said with an excited tone. What the fuck? Jiraiya screamed at the sudden appearance of the Skull Kid. Sorry, young lad, but today we have no time for your games and… Where is the path? Link said before noticing how the tunnel through the trees that would normally lead to the old resting place of the Master Sword had disappeared behind the solid-looking trunk of one of the majestic trees filling the abandoned grove. I closed it. Play with me, and I will open it again. The kid answered, crossing his arms and making the lantern he was holding shine eerily on his face. Really? Can't we skip this part? Please? Naruto asked, groaning. No, I want somebody to play with me. I even got better at playing my flute. The strange boy answered, blowing in the multi-headed flute, making leaves fly out of the front, and puppets appear near him with their threads simply hanging from thin air. That is a summoning focus, not a musical instrument. Link growled as the marionettes shambled towards the group. Hi, hi, hi. Catch me. The kid yelled, laughing merrily as he ran away through the wood of a tree, making a big chunk of the whole plant fade away, showing a long tunnel moving through the whole trunk. Who's that brat? Jiraiya asked while taking a fighting stance as the puppets circled them with the same unnatural smile of the kid. There is a 65% chance that we are dealing with the chosen guardian of the Sacred Grove's entrance, but he also seems too young to properly fulfill his duty. Fiancé, so? Naruto asked, confused. Probably the old guardian died too soon, and this one had to shoulder the duty when he was still too young. Midna tried explaining. This way. The disembodied voice of the kid said from the tunnel. He wants us to play. May as well entertain him. Jiraiya answered, shrugging. Okay, okay. Naruto said, sighing as he jumped above the group of puppets to chase the kid. Wait for me, brat. The spy master yelled, annoyed, as he used a puppet's head as a springboard to jump on a near tree and chase his former student. Coming. Link sighed as he headbutted a marionette aside to join the shinobi in their hunt. This time the kid had seemingly opted for a simple chase instead of the hide-and-seek game of the first time Naruto had met him, and had also apparently learned to be quick on his feet, as he used the puppets not to attack, but as a short distraction to abruptly change direction and dive for a new series of tunnels through trees and mangrove bushes that Midna herself was sure they had not met the first time. He is getting smarter. Naruto muttered, smirking. He remains annoying all the same, though. Midna answered as she had been forced to be carried in the blonde's arms to not be left behind in his fast dash. Not that she minded being held so close to his chest. By the way, faster. Whoa. Uku, in the meantime, said, excited as its head peeked out from the front of Jiraiya's clothes. It's unfair. The Toad Sage once again whined about the difference in companion he and Naruto had, since Midna was using the excuse of her being held that close to suckle and leave a tiny, cute hickey on the blonde's neck, making him blush a little. This way. The kid said as they reached a wide, open area with what looked like being the ruins of an old fountain as the remnants of the pool and a tall, decorated pillar-like structure in the center that dominated the middle of the area. Where are you? Midna asked aloud. Over here. The boy answered, chuckling as he appeared in the air to float down until he stood on the central pillar of the destroyed fountain. We played along and chased you through every nook and cranny of this forest. We accepted your request and fought through the waves of puppets you kept summoning as you tried to make music with that thing. Now open the path to the Master Sword pedestal and stay put like a good boy. Midna hissed with narrowed eyes. You mean that my music is bad? The kid hissed with narrowed eyes. Midna, Naruto muttered in alarm. No, I thought your music sucks. Plain and simple. The Twilight girl finished saying, smirking. Ow! In answer to that, the kid growled, furious, and stomped down petulantly. Sigh. I don't want to deal with a mini-boss. The blonde said, groaning, as dozen of puppets went summoned. Then fight me. Win, and I will show you my favorite secret place. The kid said angrily. You know what? Fuck this. Daihukage bunsin no jutsu. Massive shadow clone technique. Naruto yelled, as in a thick sea of smoke the whole area disappeared under the cover of the cloning technique. Oh! The horrified kid muttered, dejected, as he could see clones wherever he could lay eyes. On trees, on the floor, on the walls, and all around him, making even his fixed smile falter a little. Orange everywhere. The real Naruto said, moving an arm around the kid's shoulders, making him gulp, while with the other the blonde gave a slow sweep to the ocean of orange surrounding them in clear pride. I thought he made a lot when he faced that fat bubbling king. But you were not joking when you said he could make a lot more. Midna admitted with wide eyes at the absurd number of clones. Too much orange. Link whimpered with his ears flattening on his lupin head. It never ceases to amaze me how many you can do. Jiraiya said, laughing merrily at his pupil's propensity to overachieve when properly motivated. So, this secret place? Naruto asked with a way too sweet smile. That way. The Skull Kid squeaked as he pointed to a corner of the clearing, making a near tree fade away to show the passage hidden behind. Puff! 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 In a chorus of puffing noises, the clones disappeared, leaving only the real blonde, now back standing with the others, and the still overwhelmed kid looking a little troubled about what to do next. This is not what it was supposed to happen. I had a script to follow. The kid said, uneasy. I am not the canon hero. I do things my way. Naruto answered with a proud smirk. You don't say. Both Skull Kid and Hero Shade muttered with a tired sigh. Okay, so, Phase 1. Fight. Petulant growl. Chase. Phase 2. Fight. Chase. Phase 3. Fight. Parting words. Surprising deeply the ragtag group of heroes. The kid donned a pair of reading glasses and pulled out of his hat a thick folder to rapidly read the pages until he found what he was looking for. Loze, Twilight Princess, was written on the front page. He has a script? Naruto asked curious. Apparently. Midna answered unsure. Emium? The kid cleared his throat to let out a very convincing, amused laugh. Hee, that was fun. I'll tell you what, I'll let you into a secret place. The kid started reading aloud, playing his part with the talent of a multi-award-winning actor before fading away, making the fake night around the group disperse, as well to leave place to the light of day to shine through the trees. I told you, you can't break the dungeons, it's bad manners. Link said, sighing as the forest immediately lost its gloomy atmosphere to show a more welcoming feeling as the ruins of the ancient temple appeared at the other side of the tunnel in front of them. Whatever? Come on, I bet nobody in charge will mind. Naruto answered, smirking as he walked forward towards where he remembered was the pedestal holding the Master Sword. I really hope so. The Golden Wolf answered gloomy. High in the heavens, palace of the three goddesses. Do you plan to continue for long? Naru asked with a tired groan. Sniffle. Sniffle. So he is taking your challenges head-on in his own way, and he is still passing them with flying colors. I can't honestly see where is the problem. The goddess of wisdom added, pinching the bridge of her nose at the constant whining and crying coming out from her sister's mouth. Wah, yes. Maybe he is jumping over few mini-bosses or cheating/breaking the system because of his training. But you also have to admit that we normally have to do with farmhands, train drivers, children, fairy boys, and so on. This one is a fully trained warrior with one hell of a pedigree. It shouldn't be that much of a surprise if he already has a faint clue about what to do and doesn't actually need those small challenges to help him grow. Just put him in comparison with our first Link, the one living in the Sky Islands. Both are certified warriors, so they do not need much handling. Naru continued, saying, kneeling down to meet the eyes of her brooding sister Faror. He is making a joke of my trials. I wrote the script for the Skull Kid, and he blundered everything with his own powers. Faror answered, whining. He is not exactly your champion, so it is not like you have the usual freedom with him like with the other chosen ones. You are already overstepping since Miss Midna has your mark, not him. Naru countered. Yes, he is Din's champion and not mine. But she is not testing him, and somebody has to. It's tradition. The goddess of courage answered with a petulant huff. Well, our sister is. The goddess of wisdom tried, saying, unsure, as both turned to look at the third goddess. Go Naruto, go! Go Naruto, go! Whoa! The cheerleader-dressed goddess of power cheered loudly with a happy smile as she waved around the fluffy orange pom-poms in her hands. She had even used some makeup to give her cheeks the same whiskers marks he had. She has her own way to deal with our chosen hero's quest. Naru drawled out, unsure. At least she stopped adding her hero of power to the other timelines, so try and outshine me. Faror admitted with a weak smile. Good. Look at the bright sides. Naru answered with a proud expression. Why she is no longer cheering? Faror asked, worried. Calamity Ganon. I think little amnesiac Link there may need an extra hand after 100 years sleep. Luckily I know just the right eye candy for the job. Din chirped with a fanged smirk while tinkering with the water of their screening pool. She is manipulating another timeline to add her boy toy. Stop her. Faror yelled, furious as she tackled Din to start a new divine cat fight. Sigh. Breath in. Breath out. You are the goddess of wisdom, not of violence. Breath in. Breath out. Naru muttered to herself to calm her nerves as she joined the fight to separate her two sisters. Meanwhile, back with Naruto and the others. I wanted to ask, yes, Ero-Sennin, why you keep wearing that hawk mask and the hood? Because it looks cool. Hey, I don't remember this part of the ruins. Naruto said, unsure, as soon as they thinly walked out of the dense forest to find the ruins. That kid must have opened a different path. The sacred, ancient forest, so this was what they were talking about. Midna tried answering. This statue. This temple. Link said with a faraway look in his eyes as he looked deep inside the eyes of a lone statue guarding a closed door, standing alone without a room or walls around it. You know this place? Jiraiya asked. This used to be the Temple of Time, and now is gone. The wolf explained with a tone of pure sadness. You want to talk about it? Naruto offered while sitting on the ground in front of the hero shade. It is not just a matter of talking about something, it's the whole feeling of it. This place, the ruins it contains, it's all another remainder of how long it has been since I was alive. And in part, a remainder of my mistakes. Link answered, shaking his head and sighing. Nobody blames you, past hero. The will of the goddesses to let you join us was not to punish you, but to give you the chance of finally forgiving yourself. Only you are currently holding the blame of past errors over yourself. You yourself and nobody else. Fi answered from the Master Sword as she appeared outside of it. Then I hope this new quest will finally give me peace. The hero Shade answered. You'll have to move forward eventually, dwelling in the past hurts. Naruto answered as he saw the pedestal they were looking for at the opposite side of the wide clearing they were in. Personal experience? Midna asked sadly. Yes, even too much. Jiraiya answered sighing. So, how's this supposed to work? The blonde shinobi asked. You will need to briefly return the Master Sword to its pedestal, Master. I will do the rest and unlock the path. But then I could take you back, right? I don't have to leave you there, right? Naruto asked worried. I'm not going anywhere, Master. I am staying by your side. Fi answered with a tone that made it clear that had she been physically capable of doing it, she would have given him a reassuring smile. Good. He answered elated as the spirit returned inside the sword. I take that once reached this sacred place, the first time you have then passed a form of test before reaching the sword? Link asked as the group jumped down the higher floor they were in to walk towards the pedestal on ground level. Yes. Why you ask? Naruto asked back confused. Oh, nothing. Just curious. Link answered, chuckling at the fact that the two statues standing at both sides of the door leading to the resting place of the Master Sword were clearly giving the middle finger to whoever would pass through the door. Yep, you definitely pass by here, Naruto. Jiraiya added, chuckling. Ignore those rocks, they are just sore losers. Midna answered, laughing. Fuakyo. A duo of faint voices whispered with a very low volume as the sound came and went away, carried by the wind. So, ignoring the mysterious whispering voices coming from the void. This is where I have to put the blade on. Okay, Naruto said, unsheathing the Master Sword and moving it tip down over the pedestal. You will pick the sword back, right, Master? Fi asked, sounding worried. I am never letting you go. Fi-chan. He answered, smirking. Master, grr. Both Midna and Utsukushi growled in anger at the excessively squeal-like sound in the background of Fi's answer. Even a sword is not safe from those two. Jiraiya muttered, chuckling as he watched the blonde shove the sword's tip into the pedestal. Whoom! A faint sound of moving rocks reached them from the place they knew was the solitary door back where they entered the area. It is done. The door to the temple can now be opened. Fi explained as Naruto took back the sword to his back. The door. But it's only a door to nowhere. Trust me, Master. Okay. Fi-chan. As soon as the group exited the small area, several contorted pillars fell from the sky, surrounding the group in a faint red barrier blocking their escape. What the? Jiraiya said as 5 shadow beasts fell from the sky, screeching in anger. They are shadow beasts, Sannin, the attack dogs of Zant. Utsukushi explained. Agnibasta? Ah. The old man said in honest surprise while barely dodging a pounce from one of them and answering with a knee hit that launched the beast back against the barrier. Very ugly. We need to kill them fast. If even one of them remains alive for too long, it can revive the others. The 10-tailed vixen explained while Naruto was occupied with using a Rasengan to turn the stone disc-like face of one of the beasts in front of him to dust. Easy enough. Any suggestion? The Sannin replied, plunging a kunai deep in a beast's throat to push it away from him. Hit hard and hit fast. Link answered as he jumped on a beast to force it on its back and bit its throat open. Heads up! Midna warned as her zone enlarged their shadows, so to cover the attacking beasts to paralyze them. Doto. Yuminuma. Swamp of the Underworld. Jiraiya added, turning the terrain under the shadow beasts into a thick sludge of mud, making the monsters sink like on quicksands, further trapping them. You have to teach me that technique. Erosenin. Naruto said with a happy, terrifying smile. It's an earth release. Hem. Utsukushi interrupted him while clearing her throat and turning back into a biju as Midna helped the others get the projection of her tan tail swishing around. Right, my mistake. Once finished saving Hyrule, we'll go through it. The toad Sannin admitted sheepishly. Thank you, old man. Also, your biju makes for one hot girl. Nice catch. He added. Thank you for noticing it. And yet somebody still thinks she has a chance to woo my man. Bitch. Midna answered automatically. Whore. Sigh. Let's just kill them and move on, please. Link begged, shaking his head. Okay. Both girls answered annoyed at the same time. Barely 2 minutes later, the group was once again standing before the lonely door leading to nowhere, all of them curious about the meaning of the whole thing, since there was no longer a room for the door to open towards. All of them, except for Midna, that was instead deep in thought. You okay? Naruto asked. Those beasts felt different. I cannot explain it, but there was something strange behind their existence. The Twily Imp girl answered unsure. Strange? The blonde said confused. Strange. The other echoed, shrugging. Maybe Zan is trying something new to stop you. Well, us. But what now? We can open the door, but what for? Jiraiya said while looking at the door with crossed arms. There must be some hidden meaning. The Temple of Time housed the most powerful and ancient magic. Even now, it must be holding some sort of key for our victory. Link tried saying, I recognize this feeling. Uka muttered as its head peeked out from Jiraiya's coat. What feeling, WHOA? Naruto tried asking before the heavy-looking door opened by itself to show a blurry image of a palace in pristine conditions and of a long ramp of stairs moving down to a wide area surrounded by tall pillars, and the same two statues looking just as if they had been freshly cut out of stone instead of covered in moss. What the fuck is going on here? Jiraiya said, shocked as he moved around the door, seeing that from the opposite side, he could still see Naruto and the others, but once returned to stand with them. The temple was still there in clear view through the door. This is the temple. Maybe its magic still lives. We can enter the temple in the past, when all was still standing, Link said with wide eyes. That is some powerful magic bullshit there. Utsukushi admitted, impressed. Well, we saw Kagaya pull alternate dimensions out of her pretty ass. Time travel is not so alien, all things considered. Yes, even if magic powerful enough to affect time is nothing to sneeze at. Wait, who's now with the pretty ass? Midna added before glaring at Naruto. Nobody. Just an honest opinion. He answered, smiling sheepishly. Let's just go on. We are wasting time. Link said as he rapidly walked forward through the door. Cool. Naruto said as he felt like briefly walking through water as he entered the temple, or its past version. It was all very confusing. Every day something new, and here I thought that retirement meant doing nothing all day long. Jiraiya commented as the door closed behind them once everybody had traversed the threshold. Past the two statues, the group returned to the resting area of the Master Sword, now a wide room surrounded by towering windows of highly decorated glass panels. What now? Naruto asked unsure. Try the magic sword thing again. Utsukushi tried suggesting. Fai-chan? Try the magic sword thing. The answer came a little unsure. She is an ancient sword. Maybe she was asleep and doesn't remember. Midna said, shrugging. With a helpless shrug himself, Naruto moved to plunge the tip of the sword on its pedestal, making a long ramp of stairs appear, before the group made in a translucent glass-like substance, soon reaching one of the tall glass panels. Now I remember. This way. A very excited Uku said, jumping out of Jiraiya's coat to run forward, making the glass momentarily fade away to show a hidden passage. Over here, the bird-like thing said, jumping happily on the stop before running further forward. Wait! Jiraiya yelled, worried, as he rapidly chased the small thing. We too. Arrow Senin. Wait for us. Naruto and Link also yelled as they followed the wayward creature. The next room was a fairly circular one with on the walls highly detailed carvings of humanoid figures wearing ample ceremonial robes. Two ramp of stairs at both sides of the entrance leading to a higher area above. The door at the opposite side instead was tightly closed with a solitary humanoid statue holding a big warhammer, standing at its left, and an empty space where a similar statue clearly used to be. In the middle of the room stood a bell-like structure held in place by 4 thin stone rods. Nice place, Jiraiya admitted with an appreciative whistle as he studied the detailed carvings of robed people decorating the walls. We are in the past version of the temple when everything was new. Compared to the other dungeons, this one looks sparkling clean. Naruto confirmed as he circled the bell-like thing while randomly knocking on it. But why there is nobody around? It still looks abandoned. Utsukushi asked. Maybe we have been took in a moment in the past when the place is abandoned, but still not falling apart. Midna tried saying as she floated towards the locked door and the hole next to it lacking a statue. Hey Naruto? Yes, Midna? Don't you think there is something wrong about that statue? She asked, pointing with her thumb at the solitary golem. Like the fact that there is only one while the identical alcove at the opposite side is empty? He replied as he understood where she was going. In the grove and in the temple entry, there were always matching ones on each side, but there is only one here. And it's needed to open the door, I bet. But to go through all the trouble of removing and hiding a statue to be sure nobody could enter, what were they hiding? And why not simply destroy it? Jiraiya asked with narrowed eyes. Zant. Link hissed, growling. He must have forced his way here. He has used his powers to fuse a mirror shard to some monster, and then the fool wanted the mirror gone. For him, hiding a piece would not be the right way to dispose of it. Midna said, interrupting the hero's shade. More likely, the backlash of the mirror breaking shoot the shards at the four corners of Hyrule. One of which, even through the time bubble preserving this temple, just in case the hero chosen by the goddesses needed whatever power was held here. Then as always somebody or something touched the corrupted thing. If at the end somebody else sealed the resulting monster away, or if the victim themselves did all the job is up to debate. Both Temple of Time and Twilight Mirror work on ancient magic. A branch of it so old that by now it's a miracle in itself if we even barely know how they work or that they even exist at all. Probably just like there can be only one Master Sword. Reason why the altar was empty when we arrived in the past with Naruto already holding the sword. There can be only one Twilight Mirror. So the piece exists at the same time in the past and in the present timeline. So in the present we already had the shard and had to travel to the past to actually collect it. The Twily Imp Girl explained. It's kinda confusing, Naruto admitted unsure. Time travel always is. The gist of it is, we technically couldn't find the mirror shard in our time, because we had already traveled to the past and collected it like we are doing now. Had we found it without coming here, we would have created a time paradox. Jiraiya said, and that is bad. The blonde asked, think about the whole universe unraveling itself, and time as a whole collapsing chaotically in the span of an instant. Link answered, really bad then. Okay. Naruto said, nodding. Next order of business then is finding a missing statue to open that door, and I fear we'll need to find a real one since that looks like a pressure mechanism on the floor under it, so a substitute won't work. Midna said as she returned to sit on Naruto's shoulder with a frustrated sigh. Fetch quests. Always fetch quests. Utsukushi moaned tiredly. Click. Rue. Thunk. What the? Sorry, my fault. There was another pressure plate, and I wanted to see what it was for. Jiraiya admitted sheepish as a small platform rose from the floor near the entrance. That's it? Just a step? Naruto asked, confused. Probably to help people climb to reach the ramp of stairs. Link answered with a small voice. Then why not just make the stairs reach ground level instead of making a completely useless mechanism to have a single step raise to help people climb a wall everybody not completely unable to even jump could just climb by themselves? The blonde asked, confused. Link-san? Jiraiya asked it, seeing the hero's shade blush crimson. Let's just go find that statue. The wolf replied with a shy tone as the group reached the stairs to get to the only open door outside the one they have entered from. Imagine their surprise when they found said door bolted down by heavy chains held in place by a thick locket and Uku standing in front of it poking it at random with a wing. Uku! Jiraiya said angrily, making the bird-like thing jump in surprise. EK. Ah. It's you others. Sorry if I ran ahead. I got carried away by my excitement. The thing admitted sheepish as it climbed the toad sage's legs to reach into his clothes, leaving only his head pop out from the front. Can we at least know why you did it? Midna asked, bored. This is where I've been trying to get to. The ancient technology of our people sleeps in this place. Uku answered. Your people? Naruto asked, confused. Have you seen the other temples? All the traps, the mechanisms, and the like, most of it was built directly by us, or in case of the Gorn mines, by copying our designs. The small creature replied, so you're an Uka? I finally met one of your people, but I imagined you would have been taller, or at least a bit more humanoid though. Link admitted, we used to be more like you others, then. We started using magic for everything, then we got lazy, and then even later started experimenting with arts deemed forbid dash. And I am not supposed to say more, Uka started saying before clamping her mouth shut. You went through every temple looking for a particular piece of technology? Naruto asked. Yes. And now we are so close I can smell it. Uku answered, excited. Me and my son, Uka Jr. I left him with the Zora. Once recovered the treasure here. I will collect him and we'll return home. She answered. I guess you want us to help you? Midna asked, sighing. Oh, gracious, yes. Please help me find what I am looking for. The Uka pleaded. We are looking for something ourselves, so it won't be a problem. Naruto answered, smiling wide and giving her a thumbs up. Wonderful. There should be a key somewhere to unlock those chains, and Rasengan, crowd a crash clang, opened. The blond young man said happily as his jutsu destroyed the wall, the door, and the chains in a single swoop. I'm starting to think that the ruins in the present time are your fault, actually. Jiraiya admitted as the group advanced to the next room. Naruto, Link asked as he gave a gentle tug to his pants with his mouth. Yes? Can we go through this temple properly? Please? Puzzles, keys, and all. The hero shade begged with his ears held low. You mean vanilla? Cannon? Naruto asked with a scrunched face. Please? But it's boring. The blonde said, whining. In. In answer, the gold wolf nodded and let go of a long canine whine worthy of a puppy. I hear dogs. Where are they? I hate dogs. In answer, Utsukushi basic instincts as a fox acted up, making her growl and bare her teeth, as she subconsciously returned into being a giant fox to add claws to the picture. Okay, we'll do it your way. Now stop before Utsuchan starts barking. Naruto answered, snarling, annoyed. Thank you. Link answered with a very happy tone as he wagged his tail. The dogs are gone? Utsukushi asked, looking around. Yes, Utsuchan. The dogs are gone. The blonde said, sighing. Okay, that's better. This is my den and my mate. No dogs allowed. The tin-tailed vixen replied in satisfaction as she used again the twilight shard to turn human. She will get better soon, a couple minutes at worst. She is still a fox at heart, even if a biju, so she overreacts a little when she sees or hears dogs. The young man explained, making the other go ooh and nod in understanding. Kikikiki, spider. Uka screamed in disgust as a pony-sized spider jumped them as soon as they entered the room. So what is the deal with this temple? Naruto asked, curious as he bent down to let the jumping spider fly over him for Jiraiya to intercept and kill with a short blast of fire jutsu. The deal? The Uka asked, confused. The water temple had cogs working by opening and closing water valves. The Arbiter's ground needed the spinner for the more complex stuff. The forest temple needed the gale boomerang to navigate through. What about here? He clarified. Oh, pressure plates then. The theme we can say is pressure plates. You'll have to find the correct vase or statue to activate them, though. My ancestors were experimenting with those when they have built this temple. So the doors and lifts have been calibrated to activate only on the usage of very specific weights. Uku answered, but there are a dozen of vases in the first room only and more than a gate. It means this dungeon will all be a game of guess the correct weight? Jiraiya asked with a horrified expression. Yup, can't I just smash every gate down with a Rasengan? Naruto asked with watering eyes. Please spare us the hassle. Midna added with a similar distraught expression. In. Dogs. Okay. You win. Let's find that vase. Both Naruto and Jiraiya immediately said in chorus. And so, after 15 minutes of trial and error, the twin gates towards the next room went opened and closed to let the group pass through, letting them meet the first living beings outside their group inhabiting the temple. Lizard soldiers here as well. How do you think they survive in here? Arrow Senin? Naruto asked, curious. Smash. Bah. Maybe they eat spiders. The place is full of them, and they're pretty big. The Sannin answered, shrugging, uncaring, while stopping, savagely punching the lizardman's head he was holding under his arm in a crushing hold. Crack, probably. The blonde replied as he finally stopped pulling on both arms of the lizard man he was holding face down on the floor with his feet, as soon as the monster's shoulders admitted defeat and popped dislocated. Now scram. Midna roared, making the wounded creatures run away, or limp away in case of the ones with broken legs, to escape the group of heroes. Bacchus. Hey, isn't that another of those bells? There was one in the main room and another in the one before this too. Jiraiya asked it, seeing the third bell-like gizmo hanging from the opposite wall. Those are not bells. Those are the device that will bring the missing statue where it belongs. Uku answered. Ooh, found the temple map. Naruto, in the meantime, said happily as he showed a brand new piece of parchment to the others. I like the fact that everything here is pristine clean and not falling apart. Even the map looks fresh out of printing. Utsukushi commented happily. We used to make things well so to last long maps too. The Uka answered proudly. It shows so. Where are we going? Naruto asked, showing the map to the small creature. Yeah. Let's see. Probably here. It seems like the ideal place to keep the Dominion Rod safe. The what now rod? Utsukushi asked, confused. The Dominion Rod. It's an amazing rod that can infuse ancient statues with life. Oku answered proudly. So it can animate every statue? Cool. The blond man said with starry eyes of childish wonder. Wait, not every statue, just the compatible ones that can react to the rod's magic. Ah, so it's useless. Naruto said, letting his shoulders lump down a little. It's not useless. Oku screeched. Yeah, it's only context sensible, meaning that you can only use it when the script forces you to. Midna answered, huffing. So, useless? Utsukushi asked. The step before useless, to be precise. Oh, you mean meanies? Ryuka huffed, annoyed. So we'll use it for this dungeon's boss only? Jiraiya asked, and to let Uku and her son return home. Naruto added, stop saying that. We do not do things like that in Hyrule. The other 6 times it happened, it was only a coincidence. Midna muttered, pouting, as the group advanced in their search for the Dominion Rod. All things considered, it was not that bad as a dungeon per se. It was pretty straightforward, actually. Enter the room, find the pressure plates, or the colored crystal in a couple cases. Find the correct statue or vase to activate the pressure plate, and then break the thing to deactivate the mechanism if the walls/gates connected to the plate were to and opened or closed whenever the switch was pressed. Jiraiya especially loved the whole treasure hunting aspect of the whole dungeon and playing around with the living statues, trying to smash them with their hammers. And the giant weight scale filling a whole room had been his favorite part with the weight game it required to pass through. Naruto instead was evidently bored, since he preferred a more hectic approach to the whole thing. Luckily for the others, he had plenty lizard men to use to entertain himself with. The fact that baby spiders were absolutely everywhere was also making them start to wonder if their mom, that they suspected would be enormous considering the baby's sizes, will be the one that got corrupted by the 3rd mirror shard. How do you make those traps go forward and back nonstop on a flat surface? Naruto asked as he and Jiraiya helped the others wall walking to ignore the long poles covered in deadly spikes that were rolling nonstop on the floor back and forth. Magnets and pressure plates on both ends, switching the magnets on and off when the pole is next to them. Uku answered proudly. And the egg-shaped spheres with saws in the middle? Jiraiya asked. They move on a rail system attached to a never-ending screw. Then why not turning the traps off if you know about how they work? Midna asked as yet another lock got opened by its key. The switches have all been destroyed, like the ramp of stairs we met while coming here, Uku answered. And I guess our new friend here is the culprit of those damages and was also the one chaining down every door. Jiraiya said with narrowed eyes as they could see the statue they were looking for waiting for them on a raised platform and a big treasure chest under it locked behind the same heavy gate that had blocked their way out of the giant room. As soon as the whole group entered, all of it guarded by a very tall knight in black heavy armor waiting for them in the middle of the arena-like room and brandishing a big claymore, sword clearly waiting in itself more than an adult man. A dark nut, so it was him to lock every entrance. Link said, snarling angrily. A dark nut? Naruto asked. Cursed knights that got corrupted to the point of insanity by dark powers. That is why their name of Dark Knight has been slightly mispronounced. They are literally nuts, so to speak. What you see is an empty shell. Other than their talent in fighting and demonic bloodthirst, you won't find much of a personality in the Dark Nuts. It's a miracle in itself if they can follow orders at all. For the rest, they exist to fight and destroy everything they see. Nothing else. Midna explained with narrowed eyes as the knight growled and prepared his weapon. Another present of Zant? Jiraiya asked. No, the Dark Nuts existed well before the arrival of Zant himself, as I too have fought a few of them myself back when I was young. If he is here, it means that is probably Zant's master, the one that sent him, even through the time bubble of ancient magic protecting the temple. Link answered. Then we'll need to kick his ass to get the Dominion Rod, eh? I can do that, Naruto said, cracking his knuckles. Naruto, yes? If I can be so bold, beat him at his own game, swordsmanship. The hero shade said, making the faint glowing eyes inside the Dark Nut's helmet shine brighter, as if offended by the proposal. Naruto doesn't know how to. Okay, but with Samahata first. Why, master? Fi asked. A humiliation thing. Bigger sword, you see? He answered. Sizes mean nothing. Since when do you know how to fight with a sword? Jiraiya asked, confused. During our vacation on the Turtle Island, the ANBU of each village had offered some training to keep him occupied and not acting rebellious. They also used it as an excuse to try and talk him into joining a different village after ditching Konoha. One of them, an ANBU from Mist, actually gave him lessons in swordsmanship while hinting about how cool it would be to become part of the next 7 swordsmen of the Mist formation. Atsukushi explained. Say what? The toad, Sannin, growled in scandal. Yep. And after that, once coming here, Russell helped Naruto polish what he was taught even more with some Hylian sword style. He is still learning, but what he lacks in finesse he covers with sheer strength and his usual ingenuity. I also helped with few tricks I know, and I intend to continue teaching him once save Hyrule, as I have still lots of things I wish to pass on when it comes to the hero heritage. Link added. I'll hold you on that. Come on, big guy. Let's see who has the best sword. Naruto said as he unfurled Samahata's bandages halfway, through making it stretch its scales in anticipation. TSH. Unrefined blade. Growl, with a roar definitely not akin to somebody's sane of mind. The Darknut raised its shield and charged forward for a charging bash, growling menacingly as the blonde dodged to the side and above the horizontal slash. The knight tried to follow with to catch him. Jiraiya could understand the current level Naruto was in that moment. A shinobi could not live as long as he did without getting some insight on a lot of different things, especially if his teenage years and his adulthood later happened through shinobi wars and periods close to those events. For a beginner, he is fighting very well, he admitted while looking pleasantly surprised. He remembered all too well his fight against Hanzo the Salamander and years later against Mifune. And that close-up with death didn't leave him just with the pretty title of Sannin that he shared with Tsunade and Orochimaru, but with a phobia-like feeling for samurai and swordsmen in general he took years to secretly overcome. And from that dislike, many of his own defensive technique were born. Keep them at distance, block them, and if close, leave a toad, eat them whole. But he could also teach how to fight with a sword if he ever needed to or felt inclined to, something that he felt will never happen unless in a life-or-death situation. Samurai and ninja were like water and oil for a reason. The two things do not match if you ask Jiraiya. So it was with a deep sense of satisfaction that Jiraiya watched his latest pupil jump over the Darknut once the latter got its sword stuck on the floor. The monster had just slashed down too hard to cleave the shinobi in half, and had received an answer from the now airborne Naruto, the full weight of Samahata slamming on its cheek, at full speed destroying its overly decorated helmet into tiny shards of metal, sending the knight flying against the wall as a result. The impact of the fully armored knight against the wall made the whole room tremble and few of the pillars crumble as the staggered monster whined in agony, while stumbling to its feet, once finally dislodged itself from the deep imprint the impact left it in. His overall technique still has a lot of way to go, but tossing him around like that is still very acceptable. The toad Sannin said, smirking as the furious Darknut charged once again. I can close an eye on that, yes. Even if his hits get parried, the absurd strength the hits themselves have behind make even defense a bad idea. Link answered pleased as once again Samahata impacted with inhuman strength on the flat side of the knight's claymore and adding a new dent in the very abused weapon. Who cares if it's unpolished? What's important is that he is winning. Fine-tuning will come later. Midna said, annoyed as a piece of the Darknut shoulder guard went shot towards them and literally through the wall behind them along other pieces of armor, as soon as Naruto got a lucky shot that caught the knight on its right side. A full-body shot where the liver would normally be, and that would have torn a normal being in half in any other fight. That armor is falling to pieces quickly. Was it always that brittle? Link asked, curious, as they watched the whole right side of the Darknut knight crumble to pieces, leaving out the chain mail under it, and witnessing the mighty shield the monster once possessed being bent in half by the sharkskin sword, and then torn to shreds by a well-placed Rasengan soon after. Nah, it's because Samahata was made to tear off flesh from the bones, and turn said bones to dust upon hit at the same time, instead of cutting. It was intended for brutality more than finesse. Jiraiya explained as more and more pieces of black armor kept raining around the room at each hit of the blonde. Clang! Wham! Crash! Ooh. I see. The hero shade said, wincing in sympathy as the claymore, as well, finally gave in, breaking in half, and letting the full weight of Samahata paired with the overly enthusiast slash of Naruto catch the Dark Nut fully and shot away the monster a second time, this time against the gate protecting the treasure chest, demolishing both gate and chest in a rain of broken bricks, bent bars of steel, and the few remaining pieces of the knight's armor finally accepting defeat and falling on the floor broken. That's the Dominion Rod, Uku said excited as she could see the rod between the debris of the destroyed treasure chest. So, do you admit defeat? Naruto asked smirking. Ha! Roaring in madness, the Dark Nut threw the ruined half of his broken sword, now looking nothing more than something that had been chewed to oblivion by a big animal, with enough strength to embedding it on the opposite wall once the surprised blonde dodged the improvised projectile. Be careful. Now that he is no longer weighted down by his armor and weapons, he will move faster, Link said as the Dark Nut unsheathed a second weapon, a thin rapier-like sword, and using the latter's scabbard as a distraction by throwing it at Naruto. Gah! The former shinobi hissed in surprise as he rolled to the side to dodge the lethal thrust while sealing away Samahata and unsheathing the Master Sword immediately after. My turn, Master? Fi asked. Yep. Let's show him who got the best sword, Fi-chan. He answered. As you command. Why are you laughing, Mr. Jiraiya? Link asked curious. Just remembering the last time Naruto looked so excited, the Toad Sannin replied, chuckling again. And clang, 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 clang. Sarutobi-sensei once warned me that Naruto had always been pretty strong even as a kid, that the only reason he had trouble in the small fights he had at the academy was because he lacked proper technique and tended to telegraph his attacks. Jiraiya explained, as the Dark Nut was now showing clear distress, since without the further weight and protection of its armor the monster was being subjected to the full blunt of Naruto's strength, and it was being manhandled like a ragdoll, threw into a storm by the force behind each hit. When we started training, I taught him a proper fighting style tailored for the sage training he would rather take, and we used to spar daily. I shit you not, I learned to not block his attacks, but instead dodge them after the second sparring session. I almost broke an arm to block a punch of his when he was just a snot-nosed brat. So, with the excuse of teaching him how to catch swift opponents, I never again used blocks, like the idiot down there is instead insisting on using. When you face somebody with such freakish strength, you do not block. You dodge for dear life. The Sannin explained amused. So he is a gifted warrior? Midna asked while looking at the blonde with a proud smile as he grabbed the Dark Nut sword with a hand to throw the shrieking monster at the opposite side of the room. The gods have a great sense of humor. They gave to somebody that is hyperactive by nature a ridiculous amount of muscular strength and stamina even for shinobi standards. The greatest challenge for me had not been making him stronger, but teach him how to control it, along making sure he could actually hit his targets, and to not hold back when the enemy deserves his full power. Jiraiya said. So with that Sasuke guy, Midna said in realization. Naruto wanted to bring him back to Konoha alive, so breaking the guy's spine by mistake was a big no-no. I bet many of his past enemies would be shocked to know that while they had to use chakra to make themselves stronger and block his attacks, he was instead using only his natural one. Then I taught him how to strengthen himself like that as well. It was only fair for him to know how to do it. The Toad Sannin answered proudly, as the Dark Nut's second sword too broke in half, letting Naruto grab the knight's head with both hands to deliver a bone-cracking headbutt to the monster. I guess Din's blessing was a given then. I am surprised he was not born under it even before coming to Hyrule. Link said with a deadpan, as the second headbutt of Naruto forced the Dark Nut's face to cave in, showing that the creature's skull had definitely cracked on itself, leaving a crater covering its whole face. In the heavens, I know. How'd I miss him for so long? Din said, whining childishly. We'll fire that in turn, sister. Have no fear. Neru answered, trying to cheer up her sister. Back with the group of heroes. So? You done? Naruto asked eagerly. Come on, hello? I think he is dead. Naruto. Midna tried saying as the Dark Nut slowly, shakily tried to raise a hand only for it to fall limp at its side. Ugh, Pomp. As soon as that happened, the Dark Nut disappeared in a small cloud of dark smoke, rapidly dispersing until nothing remained. Yep, he is dead. Midna added, sighing, as the broken pieces of armor and weapons too started rusting until they broke down to dust. Oh, I didn't mean to. Naruto said, uneasy. Do not feel sad, Naruto. As you saw, it was the dark magic that corrupted him to keep him alive. As soon as he could no longer fight, that power left him, and whole centuries caught up to him in an instant. If ever, you finally freed him from his accursed existence to give him the freedom he had been deprived of. Now he will finally rest in peace. Link explained, shaking his head in sadness. You sure? The blonde asked, sighing. Dark magic like that is not nice. It had stripped him of everything that made him a man and turned him into a puppet of ancient flesh, kept alive just to obey its master. You didn't kill him. He was already dead the moment whoever cursed him enslaved him to their will. Midna said, returning to sit on his shoulder to hug him tightly and press his face on her chest. Okay. The young man answered, nodding with a small smile. The others soon returned. This world as well is not nice, just like the shinobi world, Naruto. There are people out there that do not care who gets hurt as long as they get what they want. Jiraiya explained with a sad tone of voice as he examined the highly decorated staff the Dark Nut was defending. So that is the Dominion Rod? Link asked as they watched the toad Sannin recover the ancient-looking stone rod and clean away the dust from the 3 wing-like decorations on top of it. Exactly. One of our most prized artifacts. Oku answered proudly. How does it work? I am not a wizard. Jiraiya asked while giving few experimental swishes with the rod. At the base, near your hand, there should be the Uka rune for control. Press down on it with your thumb, and then flick the ball of magic that pops out at the armor. The rod was made with an internal charge, so that anybody can use it, even without magic knowledge. The rune. You mean this B button? The Toad Sage asked, unsure. That is not AB. That is a Uka rune. Uku answered, puffing her chest, offended. It looks like AB. Naruto said once he too checked it. It's a rune, if you say so. Come on, old man. Press the B button and wake up that statue. Midna said, smirking, making the small Uka fume in anger. It's a rune. The small bird-like being muttered bitterly. Okay, you sure it will work? Jiraiya said as he flicked the pale green sphere of energy swirling between the rod's wings towards the statue hanging above them. With a sound similar to fire, a pale green flame started burning in the hole situated in statue's abdomen, making green markings appear on the whole body. The head pop out in place, and the arms stretch a little to raise the giant hammer it was holding as a salute to Jiraiya. It infused the statue with life magic. It should now move like its master, right? Link said, yes. Uku grumbled in answer. Sue, I try to walk now? Yip. Edo Sennin. Let's see if it follows you. Naruto answered, clearly amused by the living statue. Okay, come on, big guy. Your twin needs your help to open the door. Jiraiya said, smirking as he marched towards the door, while giving to the rod a fast, twirling worthy of a cheerleader. Thunk, 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 thunk. Sure, it moves slowly. Minna said, groaning, and you shouldn't actually get too far away from the statue, or the spell will drop. Uku explained, at least that bell will move it from here to all the way to the door, right? It was a chance we met all those similar bells while we came here. You can actually choose from what bell the statues comes out, right? Jiraiya asked in dread. Yeah, Uku. Atsukushi said, growling. The bells work only for a room to the next one. We'll have to redo the whole walk backwards with the statue following us. Pressure plates and gates puzzles comprised. Uku answered with a forced smile. Fuck no, we are not. Naruto bellowed, annoyed. But no. We did the first run your way. Now we'll close this dungeon crawling with some damn common sense. The blonde roared. Kai. The hero shade whimpered in surprise at the outburst. Sorry, but I am with him. Too much of a bother. Jiraiya said, sighing as he unfurled a long blank scroll on the floor to rapidly write on it. Always travel prepared for everything. The Toad Sage said as he made the statue walk to the middle of the ceiling array. What do you puff? Uka started asking just in time to see the statue disappear in a burst of smoke. They sealed it in that scroll for faster transport. And to be honest, I find their sealing arts to be quite useful. Midna answered as Jiraiya pocketed the small thing with no troubles. I plan to teach Naruto some few ninjutsu once done with Zant. May as well add you to the lessons too, Midna-san. The old spy answered, shrugging. Why not? I bet I would look good dressed like a schoolgirl. The Twily imp whispered in Naruto's ear, making his face flush crimson. You are not an imp, you a nymph. He muttered in answer. Shut up, honey. I know you like it. She countered. Guilty. He admitted shyly. Atsukushi replied, growling. Never be said Naruto could not be a bit childish when he wanted to be. But to be honest, Deep inside, Link 2 had dreaded the return trip to the door, while also escorting the slow-moving statue back where it was, especially if, had they gone the canon way, they would have had to really respect the plates activating the steps and the various gates opening sequences. Not that in that case he would have held it against Naruto had the blonde smashed open the gates in that situation. By sealing the statue like that instead, the return trip lasted barely 5 minutes as they blissfully ignored every puzzle by walking above it on the wall and jumping above the gates. So the hero shade was begrudgingly forced to compare the fast, non-problematic, and more time-efficient way the two shinobi provided with his old-school way. And even if like that a bit of the challenge behind the dungeons was lost, having things done in a third of the time was an acceptable result. A few minutes later, main room of the temple. And off you go, Jiraiya said as he made the statue move for the last remaining 2 feet to have it fit in its alcove, making the hidden mechanism under it turn the now still statue to look at them and sink a little in the floor with an audible click, sound corresponding with the unlocking of the gate holding the main door closed. Here we go. Last stretch before the boss, Naruto said, sighing elated as a long corridor filled to the brim and traps unfolded before their eyes. There was the full course. Moving statues with bright red gems for eyes ready to shot a laser-like ray of light to everything entering their range. Saw-covered eggs moving back and forth on the floor. Guillotine blades swinging from the ceiling. Giant rolls of spikes rolling on the floor, and more than half the room's bottom was missing, so that whoever was foolish enough to not be careful would have fallen in what seemed to be a true bottomless pit right under the traps. The group as a whole looked at Uku with a raised eyebrow. What? Down there is the main room, the heart of the temple. We wanted to make sure that had we needed to protect something, nobody would have been able to reach it. Uku answered with a nervous smile. That's being paranoid, not just making sure. Naruto commented, sighing. Whatever. Do you still have the key to the boss room? Midna asked, shaking her head in annoyance. Yep, here it is, Midna-chan. The blonde replied, showing the giant key. Then let's move. The twily imp said, climbing down his shoulder to enter his shadow. Ninja sprint then? Ninja sprint. Jiraiya answered, nodding. Ninja warik? Link could barely ask before the toad Sanning hosted him under his shoulder, so that both shinobi could sprint forward at ludicrous speed, jumping above the spikes, shoulder tackling a guillotine, so that it would break free from its hinges and slam against the others, demolishing them, and using a saw-covered egg like an improvised soccer ball to shoot it with the power of a cannonball against the 2 gates separating them from the boss room door, and the path to the new Twilight Mirror Shard was finally opened, leaving a half-demolished room behind as collateral damage. The temple. Uku commented, sniffling at the sheer destruction left behind. Hey, the place was already in ruins in the present time. It's not like we did anything that time itself won't do. Naruto answered, shrugging as the giant lock holding the door closed came undone once opened. That was a sparkling new lock. They were waiting for us. The corruption was not accidental this time. Zant and his master must have chosen the victim this time. Link said with narrowed eyes. So it seems, get ready, guys. Midna warned as she moved out of Naruto's shadow to float next to the blonde. The room was enormous, completely empty, and with only 4 giant statues adorning the 4 corners. Each statue was holding a titanic fist high, while the only light source were few giant circular openings on the ceiling bringing in the light from outside. And the light cones were being obscured by something big at random intervals. What the fuck is that thing? Jiraiya asked as a spider big as a small house was hanging lazily from the ceiling as it aimlessly walked around. Its body was mostly covered by an armor of rock, leaving only the hairy back uncovered. And as soon as the toad Sannin talked a giant blood red and gold eye opened on its back to glare at the heroes. A Goma? Link growled. A giant one at that. Midna added as the beast roared at them like an enraged demon. I detect a high concentration of twily and dark magic in that creature, Master. It is what the ancients used to call an Armagoma. The corruption of the dark magic and of the corrupted twily magic forced it to revert to this ancient form. Phi supplied from the Master Sword. Nice to know this small piece of history. Any idea how to fight it instead? Naruto asked as now the Twilight Arachnid started slowly circling the floor, looking for the right angle to attack them. Armagomas have a soft belly where their armors do not reach, Master. I suggest to force this monster to topple over, so to attack its belly. Fi answered promptly. Thank you, Fi-chan. Naruto answered nodding. Any strategy? Link asked as the group broke apart to dodge a thick string of webbing from the monster. That giant eye looks like a nice start, Naruto said as he crossed his fingers to enact his favorite jutsu, Kakebunshi no Jutsu, Shot-down clone technique. As soon as the smoke appeared, the original blonde and his 3 copies ran up a different wall each and on the ceiling to grab a leg of the giant Armagoma. Ready when you are, Jiraiya said as he already started twirling the ball and chain at top speed. Just drop that thing here, Link added with the Twilight sword already in his mouth. Hiya! With a single scream, the 4 Narutos pulled on the leg they were holding on and detached the spider from the ceiling, making it fall towards the awaiting Sannin and Hero Shade. Now, moving fast, Link ran right under the falling spider while holding the sword pointed upward. Go! At the same time, Jiraiya used all the strength he could muster to slam the heavy iron ball downwards, catching the falling Goma's belly. The plan was simple and efficient. The sheer weight of Armagoma plus the iron ball's weight and the strength that had been thrown would crush the corrupted spider on the blade's tip, making it pierce the eye almost all the way through and making the Goma let out an ear-piercing screech of agony. Dead already? Naruto asked as he dispelled his clones and hurried away from the monster. Cry-yaiki. Not yet. Midna answered as the wounded spider roared in fury and hurried to climb once again on the ceiling while dragging on its back the sword still stuck in its eye. What is it doing now? Link asked as the Armagoma turned around to point its back at them. Is it going to use the web's aga? Splurt, 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 grus. Midna and Uku yelled in disgust as the heavily throbbing backside of the spider started shooting out dozens upon dozens of beach ball-sized eggs that broke on impact on the floor, freeing a horde of baby spiders. Yuck! Disgusting, Naruto commented with a green face as now the tiny, but still big enough to reach an adult man's knees, spiders started attacking them, while the mother spider attacked from the ceiling. Me and Link will deal with the babies. You take care of that thing, Naruto. Okay. Arrow Sennin. Naruto, I have a plan, Midna said as she followed the blonde to stand upside down on the ceiling. What is it? He asked. You'll see. You just drop the disgusting thing belly up next to me. I'll do the rest, she answered before flying down, leaving him alone to face the spider. Okay. And what about you? Can you actually fight for yourself? Or you only know how to stay up here and let your small minions fight? Naruto taunted, making the Armagoma narrow the eyes it had on its normal head. Kiki. The beast faintly clacked its pincers in silent fury as it loomed forward with slow steps. You really want to play quick draw with a ninja? That is not very smart, the blonde said, smirking as he leaned forward ready to sprint. Naruto, now! Midna yelled, making the Goma's head snap towards her. Exactly. Never get distracted. Rasengan, the blonde commented, chuckling from under the spider's belly as he thrust upward his hand, holding a spiraling sphere of raw chakra as big as a watermelon, hitting the creature's already bruised body and shooting it down on the floor hard, making the sword still plunge in its body go just a bit deeper. The creature, though, had no time to dwell too much on what happened, as the giant statue the thing was lying in front of took life, for an instant to slam down its massive fist on the Armagoma's belly with enough force to have Link's sword finally pierce through the whole body, making the tip of the blade come out from the monster's underside. Cry-ya! With a last deafening scream, the spider's legs stopped kicking around wildly to just drop down immobile. Finally dead. Now we can get the mirror, Char, Link started saying as with a faint poof, the Armagoma's body broke into black smoke, leaving behind only the red eye, now looking completely healed somehow. Naruto asked as the eye moved by itself. That is its real appearances, master. It is a species called Igoma for its back resembling a monster eye. Fi explained as the big spider started running around the room, scared as it tried to escape the group of heroes. That's it? Jiraiya asked as the spider, while still human sizes big, was looking way less threatening than its previous giant form. Yes. Fianso Edrili. That's sad, pathetic even, Naruto answered as the scared thing kept trying to find the exit. Kiki splat. As it desperately clicked its pincers in fear, the giant fist of one of the statues once again fell down, turning the thing into an unrecognizable pool of goo, soon evaporating to leave behind a shard of the Twilight mirror now purified from its corruption. I hate spiders. Midna hissed with narrowed eyes as she brandished the Dominion rod in her hands. So, Midna-chan, Naruto said with a wide smirk. Yes? She asked back while putting the third shard with the other. You used the Dominion rod to defeat the boss. The same gadget we have found in this exact same temple. The blonde said, making Jiraiya behind him broke into wild guffaws of laughter. We. Okay. Phoenix. Every time we enter a dungeon, we find the perfect weapon to defeat the boss. Are you happy now? Midna finally admitted, blushing wildly. Yes, because I love messing with you. Haha. The blonde man answered, laughing and hugging her tightly. Idiot. Midna answered with a muffled voice as her face went buried deeply in his chest to hide her shame. You're idiot? Yeah, and nobody else's. She admitted. Utsukushi jumped in, loudly clearing her throat. And nobody else's. Midna repeated, nonplussed. Bitch, the fact remains that 3 of the mirror shards are now ours. Link said with a happy wagging of his tail, as he had in the meantime recovered his sword. Yes, there is just 1 left, Midna confirmed as she returned to sit on Naruto's shoulder. We are doing great, Naruto yelled with a wide smile, and getting a thumbs up from the chuckling Jiraiya. You saw how nasty that monster was? Midna asked, sighing. Nasty. Gross to look at? That is a giant yes from me, but we fought worse things than that ever since we started this whole mission to save the world, Midna-chan. Naruto answered, shrugging. Hoo. Maybe you are right. But the fact remains that the evil within the shards is more powerful than what you can imagine. And that evil power combined with the Twilight magic gave horrifying results. We may be assembling something terrible here, she admitted, flashing a timid smile and a chuckle before returning to look deep in thought. Okay, maybe we have faced just a spark of the power of whoever is Xant's master. Yes, but if you give in to doubt, you will already concede them half a victory without even trying. Jiraiya answered, shaking his head. And you two instead have no doubts about this? She asked. Midna-chan, I admit that I always jump headfirst into troubles without much thinking about my well-being, but what I am doing here in Hyrule doesn't feel different from what I did back in the elemental countries. Naruto added with a gentle smile, which is the right thing to do. He answered, smirking. The right thing? PFFFD, ha 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 ha. The Twilight imp could only try to smother her laughter for barely a second before letting out a thunderous laugh, light as a feather and musical like a bell to the blonde's ears. Naruto? Yes? You are one of a kind? You know? A blessing of the goddesses, she said, kissing his cheek, making his face turn bright red. I am. I think. Thank you? No. Thank you, she answered with a small smile. So we go on? Jiraiya asked, crossing his arms and smirking. Of course. It is the right thing to do after all, Midna answered, ruffling Naruto's hair. Hey, he replied, offended and trying to fix the mess she made. Then let's go. We still have to find the last shard, Link answered as the group moved back towards the entrance of the temple. I can open a portal easy enough, Midna said simply. No thank you. Both Toad Sanin and Hero Shade yelled at the same time with a very pale face. Wahaha! Naruto simply laughed at their scared expression as they slowly returned to the present time. The mirror. It could be something that we'll ultimately have to destroy. But even if that will be the only solution, there is something I will take with me to the Twilight Realm, or that I will leave the realm behind for. Midna thought as she looked intently at the blonde she was riding on. You okay, Midna-chan? Naruto asked, curious. Oh, nothing too important, just a minor thing. Now let's just go. We have to reach the sky. That's where the last shard is supposed to be, she answered, immediately switching to a more cheerful attitude. A pity, though, that as soon as they left the temple, the Dominion rod gave a faint vibration before simply dying on them. Jiraiya said, unsure, as even pressing the rune no ball of magic came out. Maybe the batteries are empty? Naruto tried saying. No batteries. That thing has been around quite some time. Maybe it's already weakening. Inner magic has been exhausted by our using it inside the temple, Uka said faintly as the last spark of power left the rod's tip like weak sparks, soon trickling to a complete stop as the artifact ran dry. As one, the group of heroes plus Uka guest bellowed to the sky in both annoyance and disbelief. Meanwhile, Twilight Realm, Throne Room. Ganondorf was pacing restless inside the wide room in absolute loneliness. Around him, the depleted corpses of hundreds of shadow beasts he had deprived of power until only empty husks remained. And still, he could not feel the same amount of power he used to posses until few days before. "Still brooding, my dear?" A female voice echoed in the room, making his restless walking and planning stop abruptly. "Who dares? Show yourself," he ordered with a bestial roar. "Here, little thing, here," Din answered as her giant, featureless face, made of translucent red energy, appeared covering the whole room's ceiling. "Who are you?" Ganondorf hissed in contempt. "You really are a pighead," the goddess tooted, shaking her head in mock sadness. "You used to hold my mark not long ago, and you thank me like this for my gift? Your mark? So it was you to take away my power. A so-called goddess that thinks she can stick her nose in matters not her own." The male Gerudo growled menacingly as he tried, and failed, to turn into his beloved giant boar form. "Just look at you, vermin. You got the Triforce of power and immediately believe yourself to be even above the gods. It was high time somebody taught you your place." Din answered with narrowed eyes. "I am above you all. As soon as I will recover my Triforce and the one of both Zelda and the holder of courage, I will dry every light spirit and come to you. And you three will bow to me as I reshape this world to my image." Ganondorf answered with a cruel smile. There was no madness behind it. He really knew he could do that if he so wished. "Hello, aren't you a cute delusional kid? I left arbitrary requirements for my champion to be chosen as holder of the Triforce of Power, and to my shame that is the reason you and the others have always been the ones gaining its blessing. But I finally fix my mistake and personally choose my champion, a young man I myself picked, and that I know is more worthy of the Triforce of Power than you will ever be." Din answered proudly. "Who is he?" Ganondorf demanded. "He is coming for you, Ganondorf. I purposely left a mere spark, less than nothing, of the Triforce of Power inside you, so that he will rightfully claim it completely by killing you. No, by destroying you. You're not even a Gerudo anymore with all the dwelling in dark arts you have done. I left it there, so that when you will finally perish, your defeat will truly be total and absolute. Farewell, Ganondorf. This will finally be the last time I will be forced to see you," Din said before fading away, leaving the Gerudo male alone once again. "My power? Stolen by some incompetent mortal? Me? Dying? Ganondorf's furious scream echoed in the whole Twilight Realm, making it shake down to its core as he demolished everything around him in blind fury. He will show those goddesses. He will devour the so-called champion's heart in front of them, turn Hyrule to ashes, and then let them see as the heavens too are burned around them by his own hands. Right before those same hands will kill them as well. That's it for today, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you do, please leave a like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to check out author of this story. Thanks for watching. Take care.